cases and different things, and we want to be careful.
All right, Chief, if you could just say your name and title for the record.
I'm Police Chief Chuck Nebus, N-E-B-U-S, from Farmington Hills.
And I'm told that this is a massive search. Tell us what's going on right now.
This is our biggest search to date. We've done searches actually since December at several locations, kind of under the radar, by air, land, and water, but today is the largest search we've done. And the reason for that would be because of the Livonia's arrest of Floyd Galloway for the attempted sexual assault of a woman in the park. The Farmington Hills Stislicki case investigators and all the agencies combined information with Livonia that led to that case. We're not prepared to say what ties there are to the case, but we know that because of the connection in the case, this would be an obvious place for us to search. We really have no specific information that we're withholding from media or the public today. This would be just a routine search that we would do because we know that Livonia and Farmington Hills are some connections, and because we know that the Livonia suspect was in the park, this would be a natural place for us to search. So we're here today with at least well over 100 investigators from different agencies. Too many to name, probably at least over 20. We have federal, state, county, local agencies. We have at least 14 canine teams that are out there, and it's going to be a very large search, and it's going to take several hours. It's a very heavily wooded area. We're conscious for the people that of Livonia that reside by the park and use the park. We don't want them to think there's suddenly been a new crime out there that's occurred today, but we just have to search the park as a matter of course for our case.
So there was no information that this man provided, or no tip that came in that led to this largest search?
No, there's no specific information that Danielle Stislicki would be here, but we've already done several searches since December. This would be one that we need to do on our list. This would be a more intense search, and one of the reasons being is from the very beginning of this case, we've worked with the FBI profilers quite regularly, having conference calls, and patterns would tell us that if a person is a serial criminal, they very likely go back to a place where they're comfortable with if they would be disposing of a body. We know from the Livonia case that their suspect was believed to be here, so this would be a natural place for us to search.
When you take a look at the different items that investigators have been looking at, including her Eddie Bauer jacket, maybe a keychain, a ring, anything that she had with her, what are the things that they're briefing the officers and the searchers out there about? What are they looking for?
All the officers on the search today were briefed to look for the following, items, this particular clothing, this 3-in-1. It's a sky blue colored Eddie Bauer jacket, a black zip-up top, a pair of jeans, burgundy boots, and those are the items we're focusing on. Investigators would be looking in anything, and we would encourage the public anywhere to also be, if you're outdoors and you see a trunk, a suitcase, a bag, something that's always in a place and it looks suspicious, it might be something that needs to be checked out, and we'd ask the public for any of these same items that I just mentioned, if they would come across them, to notify Farmington Hills Police or their local law enforcement. And we like to think too, there's too many law enforcement agencies to name, that we have FBI out here today, and state police and county, several local agencies, all working together. This has been a team effort since day one, since December 2nd. It's a team effort today, and hopefully we'll find something that will help us with our case, and if not, it'll be one thing checked off our list.
Logistically, to cover such a large area, what do you have to do? What goes into today to make sure that you guys cover everything as well as possible?
A lot of planning. We had helicopters do aerial searches to lay out plans. We have several teams, leaders that are out there with squads. We have command posts that are set up. We have instructions to the searching teams. If they find something, they'll be flagging it, marking it, and then there'll be other teams that come and do follow-up work after that. So it's very well detailed, very well organized, and it's a tough search because when you get a look at the park, you have it down, you'll see how thick of wooded area it is. So there's a lot of bug spray and sunscreen being used out there today. We hope to stay dry from the rain today.
I know you mentioned the boots, the burgundy boots. I know you mentioned the jeans and the 3-in-1 jacket. You also mentioned a couple other items. Could you kind of stress that a little bit? What was odd about that? Maybe a suitcase?
There's no, I don't want to lead you to believe that we're looking for a suitcase or a bag. It's just, we really don't know where Danielle Stislicki's, could be located. And it's just very common that sometimes when sometimes a criminal would dispose of a body that could be in a bag, in a suitcase, could be covered up with a tarp, anything like that. So we just like the public, again, when people are outdoors, when they're hiking and recreating and out by the water, things like that, just to be alert for those kind of things.
One of the things that you mentioned was using FBI profilers and finding out if somebody is a repeat offender, if they would come back to the same place. And I know you don't want to get into whether Galloway is a suspect or person of interest, any of that stuff, but one thing I want to ask, when you get to the point where your leads have dried up and you're relying on profilers, what are you hearing right now that would lead you back to this place?
Well, we utilize profilers quite regularly, and like I say, we've used them since day one. This has never been a case where we've been out of work to do. We've actually executed over 60 search warrants since December 2nd.
Wow.
So we have been very, very active, continuing to gather evidence, and we remain optimistic that this case will one day be solved, but it takes a lot of extra time because of some of the circumstances of the case.
I was going to.
The timing of the search. You've had Galloway's been in custody for a few weeks now. Has it just been planning, or why not sooner, or why not?
Mostly planning. Probably the time urgency. We've had 8 months that have gone by, was probably not imperative. One of the main things to do was to come out here and do it right. So to get over 100 people from all these agencies and the right experts, and we have anthropologists here. We have every team you can imagine here ready should we find something important to this case.
You mentioned being optimistic, and I was just thinking the same thing. You seem pretty optimistic. I mean, are you optimistic that you'll find something here today?
I can't say that. When I was referring to my optimism was that we will solve, we believe since December 2nd, as we've been progressing in this case, that we believe that we're going to be successful and one day solve this Stislicki case and be able to share in detail much more information with you.
Have you talked to her family about the search?
Yes, the Stislickis are not here today. They decided not to come for some obvious reasons, but they're supporting us. We're communicating with them, and at the briefing this morning, on behalf of the Stislickis, I shared with all the investigators their appreciation for their work today.
Thank you, Chief.
And how long do you think you'll be out?
When we started today, I guess was about 2 or 3 o'clock.
Wow. Okay.
Okay?
Great. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Chief. So how are we going to, how many people at a time do you think?
We could probably get a few people.